Hello and welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Joining me today, special guest. He is the host of the NBA Bit. He is the quote definitive wink comedian, NBA comedian. It is Mike Zakarian. How you doing?
Great. And every time I'm introduced, it is a reminder that I do have to come up with a better tagline. I think that is it, just hearing it out loud feels terrible. But thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Yes, very important question. This is for me, but also for my mother, who absolutely does not listen to this podcast. Any relation to celebrity chef Jeffrey Zakarian?
No, but that is a great question because it's not a common last name. And I do have a fun story about. I wasn't even a part of it, but my dad for a long time worked in sort of the food industry, and my sister worked with my dad, and they were at some conference that Jeffrey Zakarian was speaking at, and they did a Q&A, and my sister, who is funnier than I am, raised her hand and was like, "Hi, just curious if you're actually my father and not my dad." So we at least have had an interaction with Jeffrey Zakarian, but no official relationship that we know of.
Oh my gosh. And how did he respond?
I don't think he liked. I think it was like a little laugh, and then they moved on pretty quickly.
He was weirded out a bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was I don't know. He was known for being incredibly funny.
Yeah, more people need to learn how to yes and the scenario. You know what I mean? Because you could have been like, "I am your father" or something. You know what I mean? Like that would have been funny or cute or whatever, right?
There were plenty of different directions he could have gone that would have been fun and at least like made my actual dad uncomfortable. I think there was a lot of directions he could have gone.
Yeah, I agree. So Mike, you're based in New York, and you had a hell of a run in this year's playoffs for the first time in a long time.
Well,
do you even consider yourself a New Yorker?
So well, actually, I've been here 10 years now. And I think because I stayed during the pandemic, I get like 5 extra years added on. I think it's like plus 5. But I actually am originally from outside Boston. So, and I know it's not cool to say this right now. It seems like everybody, you have to almost whisper that you're a Celtics fan. But yeah, it was fun being in New York for this, though. This is the first time since I've lived here that the Knicks have been any sort of relevance outside of like the 1 year where they lost to the Atlanta Hawks in that first round series. And the city legit is just way more fun when they're good. Like it is, everybody's wearing jerseys all the time. Everybody became Ben Stiller super fans for a few months.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Honestly, you probably get Ben Stiller to come on your pod. Like he's very open to doing podcasts.
Really? I would love to have Ben Stiller on this podcast.
I've seen him on I feel like he's gone on like 10 different shows in the last month or so, but the city was awesome. Like it really was exciting.
Oh, maybe I'll just DM him on Twitter or something.
Yeah. He's very online these days.
Shot.
I don't know if he needs like a palate cleanser after editing Severance or what.
I need the Raptors fans to know that I did not know you were from Boston and that you are a Celtics fan before booking you to this podcast. Because this is a real Celtics hater environment.
It's not just this environment. It is all, and I'm not trying to say woe is me, the Celtics fan. But it really is funny. I mean, everybody hates everybody on the Celtics right now. But I will say, like because I've been doing that. We were talking before. I've been doing this for like 4 years now. And the more that I do it, the more I'm just into very good basketball. So I am still absolutely rooting for the Celtics in the finals. But I'm no longer like crestfallen if they lost. Like I don't like lose my mind in a way that I did when I was younger. So I'm just I think I get all the good out of the finals run. So I'm excited for it.
Well, that's nice at least. I mean, kudos to you for entering these strange waters, I suppose, because you knew this was like probably going to be a Celtics hater podcast.
Yeah.
But you had a hunch.
I mean, all of them have been. I was trying to think of one that is not like a Celtics focused podcast that has been positive, and I get it. I mean, it's just kind of it's like season 8 of this team, or 6, whatever it is, of this team. And I've been burned before. I'm not doing this again. So, and I get it. And also, I mean, there's like 45 other problematic reasons, just this finals matchup in general. So I get it. I get it. The Knicks story was more fun. The Pacers play a fun brand of basketball. I get why it would be more exciting, but I don't know. I'm kind of rooting for Tatum and Brown to just get over the hump so everybody can shut up about it. I think those are the storylines I'm rooting for to just like end. That's where my rooting comes from. It's like, I just would like, Tatum's a good guy. Let's get off his back, let him have one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that part. It would be nice to have a more refreshing storyline going forward, and maybe some new conversations. Yes. It's funny, last week with Katie Heindel on this show, we talked about, why does everyone hate Rudy Gobert? Not on our docket, but why do you think everyone hates the Celtics?
I really do think it's because it's like, fool me once, whatever that saying is.
Just because they lost in the finals to the Warriors, you think that's why?
Oh yeah, and like lose it, and like they go down 3-0 against the Heat. They lose to like an 8-seeded team.
Oh, true.
How many other times did they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals? I also I really, and I hate saying this, I don't think they're cool. And I like, you know what I mean? Like you've seen Tatum in those Subway commercials, I'm sure. I don't know if that's in his bag. I don't know if that's what
I have not seen Tatum in Subway commercials. Yeah. We have Scottie Barnes in Subway commercials here.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in that NBA, like, there's no such thing as playoff Tatum or whatever.
Right.
That
right.
One.
Yes.
But yeah, okay. Well, that's good to know that he's annoying. We did get the What a Pro Wants commercial, though.
Do you know
somehow that did cross the border?
Everybody, shout out Shay. That's probably why. Everybody got so mad at that I started enjoying it. I was like, the pendulum had swung so far that I was like, you guys are too mad. We're too mad. We shouldn't be taking this out on SGA and Chet either. They didn't write the bit. They just got paid. Let him cook. I'm happy anyone in OKC is getting national commercial deals.
Yeah. I mean, knowing, like, I've been on a few sets for commercials in a previous life, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's so long. It's a whole day, these tiny commercials. It's like, you think like one scene, whatever, it wouldn't take that long. It's a whole day shoot.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing over and over again, and from like slightly different angles. It's like quite tedious, I find. Yeah. They would have had to have sung that song so many times. And then to look like you're still having a good time is actually very impressive.
Yeah. Also, now it makes me wonder, do you think they were practicing this like prior to getting on set? Do you think they were like in the locker room workshopping this a little bit?
Like what's that called? Like an a cappella group?
Yeah. Yes.
They sound too awful for that to have been practiced.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could go on, but we should get into this finals preview. So now we know that you're biased. So the listeners know not to take anything you say seriously, but let's break this into a few categories. So the first is just our overall predictions. Who do you think is going to win and how many games? Let's start there.
So, all right. I originally was going to say Celtics in 7. That is how I felt. I felt that they were like the more talented team. They got like they don't have the best player in the series because of Luka, but I think after that they have 2 and 3. And I don't know. I'm taking Celtics in 5 though. All of that to say, I decided, I was like, if I really think they're the better team, I think they're going to do it in 5 games. I do. I think they win both games at home and then they split on the road and finish in 5. And I'm ready to eat that and be wrong because I've been wrong so many times with the Celtics, but I really do think they are the better team.
Yeah, I mean, they you talked about their narrative before. They do have that kind of classic, like, we've been knocking at this door for several years thing. And, Dallas hasn't been in that position. I do think, one thing I haven't heard every pundit talk about is like, all the pressure is on Boston.
100%.
And there's a real possibility, like the Mavericks, we're taping this on Thursday, so we'll have game 1 by the time this is out Friday morning. But there's a real possibility that the Mavericks come out loose, right? They could either come out really loose or really tense. I feel like it's going to be one or the other. Not in like a we're happy to be here kind of sense, but just knowing that like the pressure is on them might actually give them a bit of freedom.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Like their pressure is way more on Boston. I mean, Boston, they like since October, they're like, well, if they don't win the championship this year, they're never going to do it. And so I do think, especially game one, like I think if they go out there and win game one, I think everybody chills out a little bit. But you're absolutely right. The pressure is so much more on Boston. Dallas is they were a 5 seed. Like if you looked at them in January, no one was like, well, you're going to watch out. I think Dallas is going to make a run. Like nobody saw that happening until like the last 2 months or so. Yeah. And they have Luka. Like Luka's insane. He's just so freaking good that I wouldn't be surprised by anything. My biggest fear is that we're going to be like, again, a few hours from now, they're going to have like a 5-point lead with 2.5 minutes left, the Celtics. And then they like crumble under that. And then we're just like reliving.
Boston's basketball. That's true. Cause like we've seen, both Luka and Kyrie excel in those last moments of a game scenarios. Like if you're asking me right now, which player do I trust the most or which players I trust the most, it would be the Mavericks. Yeah. Just because they're proven. But I do feel like Boston, like you said, is ready, has been ready since October. Do I like them? No. Do I think they're going to win? I'm leaning yes. Like I'm leaning like they are the safer pick.
How much does that hurt for you to say that out loud?
A lot. And I've been thinking about it. But I also, what makes me not hurt inside so much is that I've been so wrong. About this year's playoffs specifically. Like there have been so many rounds where like I thought it was going to go the other way. Like I thought Denver was going to win, and then and then I was like, the Timberwolves are fated to win the championship, and then they lose, and then it's just like, okay, maybe all this, content I've consumed equaled literally nothing. Yeah. But this is why I don't gamble. If you want to sponsor this podcast and you're a gambling company, let me know.
and then you will.
And then I will. Yeah. No, you know what? I actually thought I should reach out to KFC because they say we've got buckets.
You should.
And then the name tie-in is like right there.
Oh, there are worse sponsors to have. Like KFC would be an excellent sponsor,
right? I think so.
I think you get to have a bucket of chicken for every week. Who's upset about that?
Listen, I'm a woman who's over 200 pounds. The last thing I need is a bucket of KFC chicken every week, but it is good for the brand.
Yeah. I feel you. Or maybe this builds towards a live show. You do it live.
Oh, and then I can hand out chicken.
There we go.
Yeah. No utensils. It's really like medieval times. Do you have medieval times? Dinner and theater?
Yeah. It's in New Jersey. I forget what it's called.
Oh, it's in New Jersey. That's funny.
Yeah, it's gosh, I can't remember. This is way off topic, but I just saw HBO has a new docuseries that is called Ren Fair, which is like the first or the biggest medieval thing in Texas, and it's like a Succession-esque docuseries where like the big guy is stepping down, and it is just a different world. It's a different world.
But it's a docuseries.
Yeah, it's like it's the same people that I can't remember who it was actually, so I won't even pretend.
All good. So look, so going back to the finals here, I think Boston is going to win this series. I think it would be 6 to 7 games because like you said, like Dallas coming back from like down 5 points is so in the realm of possibility to me. Yeah. Plus like Kyrie Irving is coming into this with all the motivation.
Yeah.
Right. Like not just, this team, whatever, it didn't go well when I was here. It's like, I feel like Kyrie has been on like a concerted effort to rebuild his reputation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all of his quotes this week, like from the finals media days or whatever, have been just like, I don't mean this to sound patronizing, but like wildly mature. Like like you would not expect to hear that from him 2 or 3 years ago. So It does. It feels like he feels at peace. Like there's a calmness
Mm-hmm.
both in like himself on the court. Like he always seems kind of very much in control of everything. I mean, you can just by the way that he handles the ball, but also just in his quotes the last like 3 or 4 months. So I totally agree. And I mean, like you got Luke and Kyrie who both can hit just insane shots at the end of a game. They can make really tough shots while also creating very easy shots for their teammates. And it's just, again, I did pick Celtics in 5, but you just think about that. It's like, how do you defend these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I also think that the Mavericks, like their role players might be a little underestimated in this series because they've been really good this whole playoffs. And I just think the Celtics role players are just more well known.
Yeah.
Right? Like Porzingis or Al Horford, et cetera, where like, like a PJ Washington was like traded from the Hornets. And it's like, okay, I would imagine most NBA fans don't know a ton about him, but he's been excellent these playoffs. And to me, he's that type of player that's poised to have one really big game. Because I feel like when you're in like the finals, you need different role players to step up different games. Like to me, that's always kind of been the difference.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like, because I'd picked Dallas in the first round to beat the Clippers. And I remember just being like, you're getting 30 from Luka and 30 from Kyrie most nights. You just need one of like PJ, Lively, Gafford, Derek Jones Jr. You just need like one of them to go off with them. And it's like, and we saw PJ do it for the whole OKC series where he was just the best shooter of all time for like a week stretch.
For a week, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I totally agree. I love PJ. I was hoping because they talked about him getting moved last year, and I wanted the Celtics to go get him because I was like, he's a gem. Like he needs to just. I don't know anybody that's going to thrive in the current Charlotte situation, so I don't think it's fair to judge any of them. So I'm glad he has been freed, and he gets to now. He goes from playing with just no name guards, and no disrespect to Theo Maledon or whoever, but the fact that he gets to play with Luka now, he must just wake up every day being like, I can't believe this is my life.
Honestly, yeah, he probably felt like he won the lottery that day. Yeah, it really makes you question why Kyle Kuzma didn't want to be traded. Do you remember that? That was insane.
Yeah, I don't. Kyle's gotten himself in some situations, or
wasn't that too Dallas too?
It was too. This trade deadline, he was like, I want to.
Yeah.
Kuzma's holding some L's up high. But listen, he's getting paid. I'm happy for my big sweater king, Kyle Kuzma. My favorite thing that Kuzma has ever done was the beef that he has with Spencer Dinwiddie, where he called him Din Shitty. I was just like, wow, the wordplay.
There's a lot you can do with that last name.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, there's a lot that can be done. But happy that Kyle is taking advantage of the opportunity, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Finals MVP. I personally think this could easily be one of those situations where like Luka is the clear MVP of the finals, but if Boston wins, obviously he's not going to get it. And then in my personal opinion, I think it will go to Tatum, maybe Jaylen Brown, but I think it'll just go to Tatum. Like I think the days of Andre Iguodala getting the finals MVP are done. Yeah. I think that has aged poorly.
Yeah.
And I think even the media realizes that pick was a little too cute. And I don't think it's going to be like a role player. Like it's not going to be Derek White is what I'm trying to say.
No. I agree with you. I would pick Tatum too. I feel like Tatum's going to have a really good series. I'm really rooting for him. I really am. I just want him to feel good. He feels like he's got a burden and I want him to be freed of that. The one role player thing, and Jaylen Brown's not a role player, but like,
no,
if Jaylen Brown covers Luka, is like the main guard on Luka, and say Luka only averages like 25 points and Jaylen Brown averages like 22, like if there's some sort of narrative that Jaylen slowed down Luka and scored 20 plus a game, I can see maybe they do something like that. Or even Drew, like if Drew averages like 15 and 8, but also like is in Luka's grill the whole time. But I agree with you. I think that's too close to Andre Iguodala. And I don't want that. I don't want what happened to Steph to happen to Tatum. I want Tatum to just get his MVP and we can move on.
My hatred for Boston, I feel like I didn't clarify this, is one territorial because it's just an Eastern Conference team.
Okay,
I'm not about that life, and they're too close. They're too close. And then the other is just Porzingis, and I can't stand him.
Yeah.
But if this was a team with more likable players on it, then I would,
I think if I can direct you to Drew Holiday and Derek White, the Celtics go down a little bit easier. Because I think Drew Holiday, great dude.
I like those guys.
Yeah. It's just, Porzingis gets in the way a little bit.
Yeah, and he's back this finals. I can't recall the last time a very pivotal player was out almost an entire playoffs and then came back in the finals. I can't recall a time that's happened. Maybe it has, but it's just been like more than a decade.
Yeah, the only thing I can remember, but it was just like one game I think he missed, was remember when Giannis, when the Bucks won the championship, Giannis's like knee went the wrong direction, but that was in the conference finals, so he still had played most of the playoffs. That's right. But his knee like went in the wrong direction. They're like, oh my God, Giannis is going to miss the rest of the playoffs. And then he missed like a game and came back. But you're right. I can't remember. And this is kind of unprecedented to miss. I think it's been like 27 days he hasn't played or something like that. And now they're like, welcome to the finals.
Like welcome to the finals. We're not sure if he's 100%.
Right.
Oh, I guess Durant is an example of that.
Oh yeah, and
then we all know how that ended.
I hate that example.
Although listen, I hate it too, and I'm not one of those people who cheered.
Right, good.
But many people did cheer.
I get it. You got to cheer silently. You got to do that inside. That's one of those inside cheers where you're like, okay, and you're not cheering that he got hurt, but you're cheering that maybe joy is going to come of this to our team. Not that you're not rooting for injury, but like, okay, maybe, but you can't clap. You can't clap out. Like there can be no physical evidence of you doing that. That's no good.
Yeah. I mean, I have several theories about it. Okay. You know what? We're here. I'm just going to do a quick sidebar about this. This is a Raptors podcast. I can do a sidebar about this.
Do everyone.
I think a couple things happened when the fans were cheering. I think, there was like this weird play that happened and then like we got the ball back. So I think it was like part that and people like not fully realizing what was going on. Right. And then it was part like, the finals get expensive. This is what I learned. And this is one of the biggest lessons I learned as a Raptors fan is that it is expensive to win. You know what I mean? Because we didn't win for so long.
Right.
And then suddenly I was like, I can't afford to go to this. It was like I go to an NBA finals game or I go to Italy for like a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it gets kind of crazy. And I think a lot of the people that were there, I'm sure some people there were hardcore fans, but I think a lot of people that were there were just like jumping onto a bandwagon, had money. You know what I mean? We're swept up in the moment, probably hockey fans. I don't think that arena was necessarily filled with real basketball fans.
Dude, I love this take so much. This is a great take because it absolves the hardcore fans and it's targeted at the rich. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a real eat the rich take.
I love it. I love it. It's like with the Bay Area bros now. They're like, they're not even real Warrior fans. It's tech bros.
Yeah,
only.
That's true though. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, and the reason why I have this theory is because I was watching the game at a bar. And, I was with like a bunch of like, comedy friends, like my brother was there and oh my God, he saw me crying during the national anthem. It was like, oh my God, I was a mess. Anyway, and then everyone around me cheered and I didn't cheer. And my brother was like, why aren't you cheering? This is a good thing. And I'm like, this is bad for basketball.
Yeah.
And I was also like, I don't want to win like this. Right, I want to win being the best because I know what's going to come up. Like I know the narratives that people are going to say. I know people are going to put an asterisk in front of this and I don't want that.
You know what's amazing? Because I agree. That's what I would be thinking at that time too. Like, oh, and then Clay gets hurt. I think more people think about it now as just Kawhi's year in Toronto than they do of the Warriors getting hurt. Like they're just like, oh yeah, remember when Kawhi went to Toronto? I don't. Yeah, that's so interesting. But
Yeah,
Anyways,
that's my theory on that. Fans, this is like a real hardcore Raptor space. So you let me know if you agree or completely disagree or have a different theory. I would love to hear it. That's like such a weird sidebar. But I wanted to ask you two more quick things about the finals. One is who do you think is going to outcoach the other? To me, this coaching battle is really interesting to me because respectfully, I don't think very highly of either of these coaches.
Yeah. I mean, it has forced me to like rethink. Well, not too much about Jason Kidd, but like I thought he was a bad guy, but also a bad coach. And now I'm like, maybe he is a good coach. Like I've always known he was a good defensive coach, but hey, he seems to have respect of the guys playing for them. They clearly has been pressing the right buttons for the last couple of months. I do think having Luke on your team is pretty cool. Like, and same thing for Joe Mazzulla. He's like, well, who am I going to start tonight? It's like, 5 potential all-stars. Like that's pretty easy. What I'm enjoying about Joe Mazzulla is he seems unhinged. He seems like he has been consuming like Heath Ledger stuff, just only Heath Ledger tapes, and is just like spewing out the Dark Knight quotes. Like he's been on one with his like just every quote is weirder than the last one, and he doesn't blink enough either. So he's saying these things with just like intensity, just a lot of intensity. So as a fan of the Celtics, it makes me nervous. As someone who has to listen to a lot of these press conferences, I really like it.
I feel like if I didn't have to work and I had all the time in the world, it would be so fun to start like a Joe Mazzulla like parody account.
Yes. Yeah.
Like a like just be like, this is Joe Mazzulla's burner and like pretend to say what he really wants to say, which is even more outrageous than what he actually says. Like he's a weird guy. Remember when he was like, I watched The Town every night?
And I'm from Massachusetts. I have a weird affection to Ben Affleck, and that I love that movie. You can't watch it that's too much. That's too much The Town.
How many times have you watched The Town?
I'm definitely on hand number 2. Like it's been more than 5. It's been more than 5.
2 to 5 times.
Yeah. I'm a big John Hamm guy. I loved Mad Men.
I love John Hamm.
Yeah,
that's the most redeemable thing you could have said.
And he didn't do a Boston accent either. He was like, "That's not in my bag. Let me just be John Hamm, FBI guy." So I'm here for it.
Yeah. I want John Hamm to play John Hamm roles always and forever.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. He is such a weird dude. I agree. I'm so curious to watch this coaching battle again because I think so little. So mean to say it that way.
I get it.
But look, like Jason Kidd's been on the quote like hot seat all season. People were like, this might be the next coach to get fired.
Yeah.
And now he's in the finals. And we live
in that big extension too.
With a big extension. I mean, we live in a very turbulent time for coaches. And also like Monty Williams is the reason why every coach has to get paid so much now. So I guess they're all really grateful for that scenario.
Seriously.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the weird in both of them. Yeah. I want to see Jason Kidd try to spill a Gatorade to buy a timeout, or what I mean? Like I would love, like I want to see him sweat and do something stupid that would make me so happy.
If the Celtics win the finals, can you just picture Joe Mazzulla during the parade? Like he's gonna be nuts.
Oh, what do you think he's gonna be like?
So it's one of 2 ways. He's going to be very stoic and serious and not really have fun at all. And that I hope that's not the case. That would be very boring. I would like him to like tap into what Michael Malone did last year. I want him to be super drunk. I want a super drunk Joe Mazzulla trying to do a Boston accent. Just like that is what I need.
Look, Michael Malone really let out his inner Eminem, like
out of control. Out of control. It is funny because he's from Queens, and that's where I live now in New York. And You see versions of Michael Malone every day at the coffee shop.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. It's good to know that he's not alone.
No.
Okay. One fun thing I wanted to ask you about is what your finals drinking game. First of all, everyone drink responsibly.
Yes,
but like, are we gonna do a shot every time Kyrie stomps on the Boston logo? Like, what do you think?
Every time they show a Wahlberg in Boston,
Oh
you gotta
God,
do it.
yeah, that might be. We could be overdoing it.
Yeah, because I don't know how, because it's not even Mark Wahlberg. Boston, and maybe the New York is rubbing off on me. You go to just a game in January at the Garden, and there's so many fun, famous people there. Boston shows Donnie Wahlberg. We don't even get A-list Wahlberg. We get Blue Bloods. That is our celebrity row is Donnie Wahlberg. We have to do better than that. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Well, there's a lot of celebrities from Boston. They just don't go back, I guess.
I do hope. And again, I know people probably don't like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck anymore. Bring the guys back. Bring them back.
How do you feel about Jennifer Lopez's concerts being canceled?
Yeah, it's wild times. I'll just say I stand with Io. Io is right. For those Devery fans.
Maybe we'll get a J-Lo sighting.
We might. Well, but they're no longer together.
Oh, is that official?
I think that's like. That means we might get sad Ben Affleck memes again. And look, I want Ben to be happy, but like
we might get Dunkin' Donuts Ben Affleck at the finals.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
Get him in remember the Super Bowl commercial? They had the like those onesies. Like there was a jumpsuit of Dunkin' Donuts. It was like a Dunkin' Donuts jumpsuit, I think. Get him there in that. That's what we need.
He needs to be paid to wear that, though. You got to be paid to wear that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Pay him Dunkin' Donuts.
KFC. Get me a jumpsuit, you know?
If you have a live show in a KFC jumpsuit and you're giving out chicken, I mean, that would, you know how fast
I'll have to fly you up here.
Yeah. I'll pay. Yeah. Fly me up with your chicken money. Get me up there.
Look, I mean, the flight's like $200, so right. you know what I mean. Like, no, but I'm saying like there might actually be chicken money.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? It's not an expensive flight. There might be chicken money. Okay, let's move on. So this is like not necessarily an NBA topic, but it dominated the headlines this week, mainly because there was a sweep in a 5-game series, and the NBA media needed something to talk about for an entire week hiatus, and it became about Caitlin Clark. Yeah. So Caitlin Clark in a game Saturday against the Chicago Sky, Kennedy Carter just gave her like a hip check. It was, I guess, a flagrant foul, but it wasn't called during the game. I actually watched this game and thought nothing of it.
Yeah.
I truly thought nothing of it.
I mean, Draymond Green has done worse a lot. You know what I mean? Like, this was just, it was a hard foul. I mean, it was a flagrant. Like, I thought it was a flagrant in real time, but I did not think it was going to be, I thought it'd be like a funny video going around on Twitter that everybody would laugh at for a second, but I did not. I was very surprised to see how long we talked about this. And I think it was just mainly this, it's ultimately a good thing for the W. I think long-term, there's way more people talking about it. But what happens, I think for the last like 10 years or so, the people talking about the W were very informed, right? They were like, they cover it for real. They're real fans. They're very good at it. They do a very good job. But as it grows, you get dumber people talking about stuff. And I think now, like the same guy who said, we need Quentin Grimes to show up for the Knicks after he'd been traded 2 months ago, that's Stephen A. Smith. He's also not going to have good takes about the W either, because he doesn't have good takes about the NBA. So like, we're just going to have like, anybody that was like, I can't believe Pat McAfee said crazy shit. Yes, you can. He says he has bad takes all the time. It's just now talking about other stuff. So what I'm hoping is that more people now who are tuning into the W, yes, you're going to have to see some of these dumb takes, but hopefully you now start to seek out the people who are very good at it. Like go find Ross, who covers the Liberty, does like play-by-play for them, or obviously Monica McNutt, like there's or your podcast, the
Thank
Pickup.
You. Yeah.
So like I
Yeah.
ultimately think it's good, but good Lord, I mean, they just made me hate everyone. Like I was upset with everyone and everything. I was like, every take sucks.
My I see a personal trainer like 2 days a week, but he's also a friend of mine. Shout out to Yao.
Yeah.
And he like brought up Caitlin Clark to me at the beginning of our workout. And I was hitting like record numbers at the gym. I was so fueled. I was like, rah! Like it was like the right amount of anger to get a good workout at the gym.
You need to add those clips to like a Spotify playlist.
I just need Stephen A talking about Caitlin Clark on loop at the gym, and then I'll just get really fired up. But no, but like there's two things I wanted to say about this that I don't think anyone else has really said.
Yeah,
is that Caitlin Clark had a quote saying this is not a basketball, or that was not a basketball play, and that quote got semi taken out of context in that she was interviewed. When they do those interviews between like the third and the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it was. So she was getting interviewed going into the fourth quarter. They asked her about it. And she was like, and then she said that she was like, yeah, it wasn't really a basketball play, but this is the WNBA and that's what competition is like at this level. And this is what we need to do. Then she goes on to say what they need to do to win the game. Mm-hmm. So she was not making it a big deal. But people took that one sentence,
right,
and then ran with it. And it wasn't even like a full sentence. It was like a comma, like in the way she's saying it. And people ran wild with it. Like she was calling out players or the league or something. And that is not what she was doing.
It's so and the reaction, even if that's what she was doing, the reaction to that is nuts, because that is what happens in interviews and like this happens after every game, right? If Luka goes to the line like 25 times tonight, the conversation after is going to be Joe Mazzulla is going to be like, oh, well, I noticed that the Mavericks went to the line like 45 times. Right? That is what you do. You comment on the game in a way like they ask, like about being asked about getting hit is a normal, like that's a normal response to be like, hey, this flagrant foul was not a basketball play. Like, God, I just wish we could all. Everybody needs an inhaler. Just like take a couple of deep breaths and like relax. Like I don't know. It's just there's such a fervor behind almost every single take. And I don't know if it's people that have never talked about it before, feeling like they have to almost overcompensate, being like, this is how into it I am now. It's like you could be new to this. Enjoy being a new fan to something, Like, God.
Yeah, I wish more people would just admit that they're new, like media people would admit that they're new to the WNBA, because first of all, of course you are.
Yes.
And you know what I mean? You're not fooling anybody, and just approach it with a more open mind and from like a more like learning perspective. Cause like, so 2 weeks ago, Angel Reese was fouled by Alyssa Thomas so hard. And like, she had her arm kind of like semi wrapped around her neck. Yeah. And Alyssa Thomas was suspended for 3 games.
Right.
And for those who don't know, Alyssa Thomas was like runner-up for MVP last year. Like Alyssa Thomas is a big deal in the WNBA. Yeah. So it's a big deal for her to foul a rookie like that. And she's not necessarily known for being like aggressive. So you're like, whoa, like where did that come from? That to me is a significantly bigger story.
Yeah.
It led to a 3-game suspension, and it didn't get nearly the amount of coverage that Caitlin Clark got. And so then that brings up questions about racial bias, which yes, real, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And all these other things. And so I think like people who are new to the WNBA or, as a casual or maybe more invested, whatever level, you got to kind of like navigate things with a grain of salt a bit, because all these big media people are learning this sport and you're not necessarily getting the full picture.
Oh, and I would say even like, I don't know how many diehard NBA fans are like, man, I need to tune in to Get Up to get like my intense NBA content. You know what I mean? Like there's so many other places that you go to for like good stuff. This is just soundbite shit. Like that's what that is. It's like algorithm. Oh my God. Oh my God. Algo. It's algo. You know what I mean? Where they're like, as long as we
like, do we need to put the key in your back and like wind you up again?
Like I can feel it. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm never going to get it. But you know what I mean? Like they're like, we have to say Clark. We have to say like targeted. And then all of a sudden, like the sound bites go off. So I hope that people like seek out good stuff and that over time, the bigger names that are like finding it for the first time, that are discussing it for the first time can kind of, just get a little bit smoother or maybe ESPN start lifting up the talent that you already have, like Shanae and Monica McNutt, like the coverage of like the NCAA women's Final Four, or actually leading up to the Final Four, was so freaking good. And it was so refreshing to see like a normal studio show. Just let them do it.
LaChina Robinson. Like,
yes. Yeah. So I am hopeful that this continues to it continues to have the same amount of eyeballs on it. I think it's been fun for me. Like I'm a pretty big Liberty fan. I was a more casual full W fan until recently, but we've been going to Liberty games for like the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, the Liberty were not good for a long time also.
Right.
So there's that
first
part.
year that I went and saw Sabrina play, they were like pretty tough, but they've been like, they've been so fun now. And so it's been fun to like jump on that bandwagon. But yeah, I just hope this is I hope this is the beginning of like more dialogue around it. And I'm shout out to ESPN in some ways for they're putting more games on better time slots now. We're seeing that. So it's all that's good. All that's good. We just have to deal with Stephen A and Pat McAfee and stupid people yelling stupid shit.
You were at the WNBA draft.
Yes.
This year. Tell me about that. What was that like?
So, all right. First going to shout out my friends from the Let the Girls Play pod. From our friends Kelsey Bailey and Amelia Bain. They like last minute were like, hey, we have an extra ticket. Would you like to come with us? Okay. I went to the NBA draft. Terrible experience. I don't recommend anybody going to the NBA draft unless you're getting drafted. You should go. But if you're not and even then, I still don't know. It's like the NBA draft is in the Barclays Center. It's this massive thing. It's made for TV. They do a bad job of like producing the live part of the show.
Oh.
It's not fun. So this is at BAM, which is over in Brooklyn. It's a smaller venue. And it was just a more intimate experience. Like you were kind of on top of the stage almost a little bit. I had no idea we were going to be sitting in the very front row.
Oh my God.
I was directly in line. I was sandwiched in between Holly Rowe and whoever she was interviewing. So just like I was awkwardly on ESPN's broadcast the entire night.
You're in that shot?
The entire night. I've never felt shorter.
Except for Cameron Brink, right? Because the height difference.
That was the camera was way up there. But it was such a cool experience. And like the players too, I think they understand the moment of what's happening right now. And so they were just way more accessible than I've ever seen. Like they were signing autographs. They were taking pictures with everybody. They were just like Paige Beckers was just in the audience and was like hanging out with people. And then Kate Martin, which I'm sure everybody saw that clip, got drafted from the audience. Like it was they did a very good job producing the live portion of the show too. And you could feel it. I mean, it seemed like everybody was having a good time, and you could feel it even in the broadcast. You could like feel the energy. And and again, not to bring it back to the NBA, but it's just like such a bad product for like, again, the live production of the show. It's like there's no vibe in the Barclays Center.
Yeah, and they're always booing.
Yeah, everybody's mad.
Why are they always booing?
I don't.
It's so weird. It's like, why do you insist on having this here every year and everyone boos?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Gary from Brooklyn has no fucking clue who's a good pick. I'm sorry, I don't think Gary's got a good take on it. So what are you booing about? Like, you don't know any. And I always struggle when it's like we can't boo 18-year-olds. I got a pretty strong stance. Can't boo.
Yeah. If they're as I get older, the more weird I feel about that.
Yes. I like even feel weird. I mean, I still watch college, like the March Madness tournaments, but I used to be so into it. And now I'm like, man, they're on their parents' health insurance still. Like, I don't think I can yell at somebody on their parents' health insurance.
Yep. That part, absolutely. Okay, cool. So we have a bit of a Raptors homer moment here. It's semi-Raptors news, which is essentially a pretty significant update on Jontay Porter.
Yeah.
So two things happened. A person was arrested in connection to the Jontay Porter gambling scandal, and which is a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then the second part is that the NBA is looking for a federal regulatory gambling framework.
Yeah.
So they're looking for the government to step in terms of, I guess, gambling. I guess it's gone out of hand a bit. Let's talk a bit about the first part. So this guy was caught at the airport with a one-way ticket to Australia with like thousands of dollars in his bag. And allegedly, Jontay texted the group chat, his illegal gambling bro group chat, being like, hey guys, heads up, they might be coming for you.
Yeah.
Buddy.
Not great. I don't know. It's really dumb. Like it's really to be like, hey guys, can you delete your texts? Like, we've all seen enough TV. They're gonna find the texts. Like they're gonna have just you.
Are they just so young that they don't know how to make a phone call?
Maybe, or meet up, meet up in person. Like,
go somewhere,
burners.
talk.
Yeah, it did. You know, the thing that, like, because when this first came out, it was like easy to make fun of it, and I did. I know I made fun of like the betting on yourself, but to lose is something ironic about that. I did learning in the piece that he it sounds like he was in some serious gambling debt, and that's how he was paying people back. That then it just gets like sad. I mean,
it gets really sad. It is really sad.
Yeah, and man, tough year to have the last name Porter too. Like, hasn't been great for the Porters.
No.
Whether they're related or not, like Kevin Porter Jr., Otto Porter retired. Like, tough year for the Porters.
As a Raptor, he retired. Oh man, earlier this year, I think it was Chelsea Late that I had on the podcast, and I was like, why aren't they playing Otto Porter Jr.? Like, it says he's healthy. And then it's like, yeah, but maybe he needs limited minutes, like load management. And I was like, load management? Management for what?
Yeah,
this is his last year in the league. Like, he's not getting another contract. Like, I was like, load management. Like, I lost my mind.
He had been load managing
for having load management.
Yeah, he had been load managing for like 7 years. Like, he was fresh. He was ready to go.
Yeah. But yeah, so the second part, I feel like, in Canada, we're maybe I'm projecting here that we're a bit more used to having like regulatory federal things. Sure. So like the government stepping in and starting to have like rules around gambling is like not something that we would be shocked by. But I'm wondering, like, how do you think of this? And do you think this will go over well in the US or not?
Well, I can't imagine the current state of the American government messing this up at all. I actually think it is a good thing. I think when you're in the wild, wild west of this stuff, these are the types of things that end up happening. And I think if they were a little bit more forward thinking of being like, hey, who would be susceptible to a scandal like this? And it's not Kevin Durant, who's making $45 million a year or whatever, right? It's always going to be the guys that are like barely hanging on in like a two-way deal, who like could make extra money doing this. Like the younger guys like that, I think, are the ones that are susceptible. So I think like putting in a framework where you're like, hey, maybe the ninth guy off the bench shouldn't have any prop bets available. Like, maybe you shouldn't be betting over-unders on Sam Hauser tonight, right? Where like, because those seem to be the guys that could be susceptible to it. Because I do think like the gambling portion is going to be here to stay. The leagues have made it clear that they are pro this, right? They want more money, more eyeballs on the product, all of that stuff. And there's always going to be like some scary parts to it. I think there are, like, I definitely am into it. I enjoy it. So I have to be like fully transparent about that. But there's there has to be some guardrails there, because if there's not, we're going to have more of this. Like Major League Baseball just suspended or banned a player who same thing, was betting on himself to do poorly. And so like, and again, it was another peripheral guy, like not like a household name, a starter, or somebody on the edges. And I think just putting in some guardrails would go a long way. But again, United States government, so like you never really know who's going to be in charge.
I also think, something I wonder about, and this is like for a while, like since I watched that documentary Broke, the 30 for 30 documentary, and it's like you've got these guys that are making like, six figures, like decent money, but they're constantly surrounded by millionaires, like multi-millionaires. And they're always like, gambling on the plane and stuff like that. And you're expected to try and fit in.
Yeah.
So it's like you're kind of in this weird bubble where you're surrounded by people who have so much more money and living in so much more excess, that I feel like that would also, that could also motivate someone in a way.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Like trying to live up to the expectation of what the lifestyle is. Like I totally, I think
especially when you're young, like when you're like 18, 19, like, it's crazy. Unless you're with the Raptors, in which case you will get a national TV commercial just for being in Canada. Like you do not have to be a star to get a commercial in this country.
Does Lou Dort have a commercial? Well, I know he's not a Raptor, but Canadian Lou Dort.
I no, but maybe he will this summer. That would not surprise me. That would not surprise me. Lou Dort could have a commercial.
I love that.
We have like Osmos, which is like a shawarma chain restaurant. Like Osmos, they love the Raptors. They had Norm Powell as their first guy.
Love Norm.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like it's like, like Chris Boucher has commercials.
Now there we go. That was the perfect example right there. Chris Boucher having a commercial illustrates exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, for Mary Brown's Chicken, which is like a KFC type place.
Okay.
He does commercials for them.
Feel free to reach out.
OG Anunoby had like a Schick razor, or was it Gillette? I don't know. I mean, I'm not in that world of men's razors, but and then he's always doing this. Just so funny. It's so funny. Like, why do you guys always do this, like with the back of their hand on their cheek? Like do you do that after a good shave, or are you just like,
I've never used the back of my hand. That's insane. I've never done. I do this all the time, but that is more natural. This is crazy.
Yeah. Also, Grady Dick has a commercial too. He's also in the same razor thing.
Yeah. That's great.
So you know what I mean? So Lou Dort having a commercial, high possibility.
I'm rooting for him this summer. Get Lou Dort some money, because he needs to be able to bring some footage back to Shea and Chet next season in OKC, being like, you guys aren't the only ones, and I didn't have to sing.
I don't think Dylan Brooks will get a commercial. I think,
I'm okay with that.
I've had enough. I think we're all okay with that. I mean, what would Dylan Brooks be in a commercial for? Like,
probably like an energy drink.
Yeah, something like, something related to the devil, I feel is something.
Yeah. Maybe a hair product too. I could see a hair product. Trying to think of like attributes of Dylan Brooks that get
maybe
shown. I could see that. But we don't need it. I want to stress we don't need it.
Oh my god, like next year I will message you the day RJ Barrett is in a commercial. That's gonna happen. RJ Barrett's gonna be in a commercial for sure.
I'm so glad next season. I'm so glad he's in Toronto. I really hope he has like a fun breakout year next year. I think that would be nice.
I hope so too. I think we're all rooting for him. Yeah. And he seems like a really nice guy, hometown kid and all that. I mean, he lost his brother earlier this year, which is awful.
It was so sad.
Yeah, the season really spiraled down real quick between Scottie Barnes breaking his hand, this Jontay Porter scandal, RJ losing his brother. Like it was like a real rough end to the year.
IQ lost a family member too, like right around that same time. Didn't he lose like
his uncle or something?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I remembered that if I like went to Toronto for a weekend, there was like a 50-50 shot that I would play in the game. Like that you guys had nobody for like 2 weeks. You had just nobody playing.
Yeah, we went on like a really long losing streak there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree. I think next year for him and Emmanuel Quickly, I think they're both going to have, hopefully big years next year.
Yeah,
all right, so let's we should wrap this up here with our Hottie highlight of the week. Now, here's the thing, we're deep into the off season as Raptors fans, and I've been giving my guests a choice.
Nice.
Right? Like, what is the Hottie highlight of the week? This or this. But I only have one Raptors Hottie highlight. So I'm giving you other NBA counterparts to choose from with this. Okay. So we have Scottie Barnes teaching his young puppy how to play catch.
Love it.
Okay. It was an Insta story. I would have sent it to you, but the story was gone.
Okay.
Really cute. You can imagine that that's super cute. Okay. Then we have Nikola Jokic whitewater rafting.
I saw this clip. That's great. That was hilarious.
There was one more I wanted to throw at you that I forgot to add to the list. That is Derek Lively's Lego collection.
Yeah. That's another good one. That was fun. That was like a warm-hearted moment. I like that one.
Yeah. And the last one is Lonzo Ball and Ben Simmons playing basketball together and practicing.
Well, let me tell you, I made a pact to myself about a year ago that I'm just not going to talk about Ben Simmons anymore because it both makes me feel sad and pisses me off. Like it's like clockwork. Every April we see him without a shirt on, being like built different, ready for next season.
No one expected you to pick that, not even me.
But I like that you included it.
It's bait,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. This is the Hottie highlight. This isn't,
Yeah. I am I think the Derek Lively thing is nice, but he's on Miles Turner corner right now. All right. You're gonna find a new toy. Miles Turner's Lego King. Yeah. You gotta get
I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh yeah, Miles Turner is like crazy with Legos.
Do you know Ben Golliver?
Yes.
He's also insane with
really?
Legos. Yeah. He has a massive Lego collection.
I don't have that Lego gene in me. Jokic, no. I thought that was a great clip, but I'm telling you right now, Cathryn, I'm not gonna come on a Raptors Republic buckets and tea and pick a non-Raptor. And it's Scottie Barnes. I'm pro dogs. I was hoping my dog would make an appearance, but it's too. I think it's just too hot in general. And he's like, I'm not interested in anything today. But pro dog, and I love Scottie Barnes, so I'm here for that. That is, I didn't even see the clip, but I know it's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's really cute. Like the dog, like just isn't running after the ball. Yeah. and then he does run after the ball and he doesn't bring it back. Like it's perfection.
That's great. I love that.
Okay, that was the correct answer. Thank you for passing the test. We will have you back. That was very no kidding. It was not dependent on your pick for the Hottie highlight of the week.
So good. I'm realizing right now that there was a right and wrong answer. At first, it was like, "Oh, just have your pick," and now I'm learning this was a test.
Yeah. Scottie Barnes with a puppy. Come on, get out of here. All right. Well, we should wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining me this week. Let everybody know again what you're up to and where people can find you on the internets.
Yeah, so I host a daily show called the NBA Bit over on our YouTube channel. That's called Team Hold, which was embarrassingly started during the NBA Top Shot boom. That'll be for another episode. But yeah, it's just kind of like, it's a lot like this. It's just a lot of fun talking about basketball and stuff like that. We're also over on Playback. I don't know if people have messed around with that at all, but we're like streaming all of the finals games over on playback.tv/teamhold. So if you want to come hang for that too. But other than that, thank you so much for having me on. I've been a fan from afar, so it was nice to hang out and chat. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you so much. I've also been a fan from afar, meeting you on Twitter and then being like, we must talk.
Yes.
We must talk hoops. So thank you again. Thank you everyone for listening and tuning in. And like, subscribe. I was talking about how horrible I am at saying that, but please do it.
No, you have to do it. You have to do it. It's the least you can do is like and subscribe. That's it.
I will one day sound like a normal person saying that. But thank you so much again, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.